Hey, welcome to the next lesson of our tutorial series on how to create stack colors in Unity. For this lesson, we're going to be creating the score multiplier that comes after the finish line. And this is actually going to be the last video for this series on how to create the basic mechanics. Now, we may add to this series in the future if we feel there's additional mechanics that we want to cover. But for our next series, we're actually going to show you how to create the game Among Us in Unity. So make sure that you subscribe for that. To create the multiplier platforms at the end of our finish line, you'll want to start with an empty game object, which I've called Multiplier Group. You can then select your platform prefab and drag it onto this object as a child. You can then rename this prefab to Multiplier. We'll then change the tag of this object to be multiplier. We'll then set the scale of this platform to be 20 in the z-axis. Now we need to create a new script, which I've called multiplier, and then attach it to this object by dragging it into the inspector, after which we'll open it up in our coding environment. Inside the script we have a couple new variables, which are all serialized fields. The first is a float, which I've called multiplier value. The next is a color, which I've called multiplier color. And the last is an array of renderers, which I've called myRens. Inside the start function, we can call a new function, which I've called setColor. The setColor function is a void function where we have a for loop where int I equals 0, I is less than myRens.length I++. Inside this for loop, we want to access our myRens array by the I index. We'll then get the material from the renderer and call the setColor function, where we'll pass in underscore color and our multiplier color variable. We then want to create the special onCollisionEnter function. This is another special function like the onTriggerEnter function, but instead this is for when the objects do not have isTrigger enabled. And the first thing that we want to do inside this function is check to see what the other object is. So I have if collision.transform.tag equals pickup. We then want to call a new function belonging to our game controller script. So I have game controller StackColor.instance, and the new function is called update multiplier, and we're passing in our multiplier value variable. So now let's go over to our game controller script where we can create this new function. Inside the script we need to add one new variable, which is a float called multiplier value. Don't worry about the code in blue. This is code that I've added for testing purposes. Now we can scroll down and create the update multiplier function. This is a public void function with a parameter of type float called value_in. The first thing that we want to do is check to see if our value_in is less than or equal to our multiplier value variable. If it is, then we just want to return. If our value_in is greater, then we want to set our multiplier value equal to value_in, and we'll update our score display by calling scoreDisplay.text equals, then in parentheses we have score times multiplier value, then close the parentheses and call .toString. Once we've done this, we can then save all of our scripts and we'll go back to Unity. Inside Unity, we should see some new variables. The first, our multiplier value, we can set to 1. Our color, I've set to a dark blue, but you can really pick whatever color you'd like. And we need to set the myRens array to all the cube objects, which are child to our platform. We then need to add a rigid body to this platform and enable the isKinematic option. Once you've done this, we can then duplicate our platform object. We then need to reposition the second platform to be at position 20 in the Z direction. We can then change the multiplier value to something like 1.5, and we'll change the color as well. We'll then repeat these steps, adding 20 to the Z position of each object, increasing the multiplier value, and changing the color. And you can repeat these steps as many times as you'd like. This will give you a long length of platforms at the end of your finish line. And when we click play, platforms should change color. Now I'm going to add a couple more pickups to my game so that I can get a bigger stack. And now I'll click play. So now when I left click, my player object starts moving forward and I can grow my stack. My player object will then change color. And now when I cross the finish line, if I spam the left mouse button, if we can get our stack to a further multiplier platform, you can see our score increase. So right there, it doubled. Now that's everything that we're going to cover in this lesson, and give yourself a pat on the back for finishing all the basic mechanics for StackColor. Now give this video a thumbs up and leave any questions you have in the comments below. Finally, subscribe to our channel so you can be notified whenever we publish new videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.